Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to your favourite football fan channel, Real Reds Talk. And David Beckham has been speaking out about the takeover ownership. We've got updates coming directly from the legend's mouth, and I think there's some pretty interesting quotes that we really want to dive into. So there's no point messing about. You know, I imagine you're all good, Sam. We're one day to the weekend, so we don't need to have that kind of small talk. David Beckham has said it's the right time for somebody else to take over at Manchester United on being an ambassador for Qatar if they buy United. He said, at the moment, there's been no discussion of that, but everyone knows I'm a Manchester United fan and I've been very vocal about the situation at United. If you was taking over, Sam, would David Beckham be someone you would want involved? You know, there seems to be this narrative about ex-players, don't there? Not having ex-players in just for the sake of it or whatever, but he seems to have a bit of a role, well, obviously a huge role at Inter Miami. He knows the club very well. Will this be the right move? Mike. Your mic's off.
Sorry. Yeah, depends what his role is, really, doesn't it? Like, if he's going to be an ambassador or he's going to be, like, representing the club, then absolutely. There couldn't be anyone better that represents Manchester United, and if not the most well-known footballer ever, at least he's in the top three, like I'd say.
Have you watched the doc?
No, I've not watched it.
Really good. Really, really good.
I have issues with Beckham, so.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, we'll dive into them if we've got time towards the end.
If he's an ambassador and his representation of Manchester United and he's there to like sort of promote and stuff like that, yeah, cool. Down with that. Always happy to see like ex-players do interviews, talk about the game, teams. Maybe they could actually revamp MUTV and do something legitimate with it and get legends of that caliber on it. But under the Glazers, it's kind of not happened. So yeah, I'm alright. But if they're gonna put me in like a director of football role or something stupid like that, I'm against that. We don't need people who have no experience in any of those roles doing those jobs because they used to be a good player. Like, it just never works. It happens with certain managers. Like, certain people think because they were a great player, they make great managers. Steven Gerrard, not a good manager. Frank Lampard, not a good manager. Fantastic players, not good managers. Wayne Rooney's now getting chucked in at the deep end at Birmingham. Remains to be seen how he does, because at Derby, he did well despite horrific circumstances, but he's been in the American League. And it's like, how good is he really? So that'll be interesting. So yeah, if he's sort of representation, ambassador and stuff, cool. Let's do it. Let's see him at more games. Let's see him do more interviews. Let's see him talk about United. Absolutely all over that. But if he's going to be, we don't need ex-players in proper positions. We need the best in each position. We need a director of football who knows what they're doing. We need recruitment people who know exactly what we're doing. We don't need ex-players in those positions.
Yeah. To be honest, I think regardless, whoever you brought in as the recruitment anyway, you can't do a much worse job than what we're doing at the moment. So it'd probably be an improvement, if anything, on the recruitment team. Whilst we've got more and more people joining, I'm just letting you know we are doing the North versus South tonight. I don't know if you guys remember Todd Bowley came out with a bit of a crazy idea when he first kind of took over Chelsea, and suggested that maybe United should take the approach that America do and have North versus South. So we thought that'd be a really good idea, as it is the international break, to do a show on it. So if you want to watch that, we'll be live later on. Me, Adam, Aaron, and Sam discussing that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. We've got George in the chat saying, about to say what have I missed, but I'm here on time for once. DJ Superfly saying, you're all right, lads. Big up to yourself, mate. Noah Thurados says, big up to Real Reds Talk. You guys are the legend. Thank you very much. Appreciate nice comments like that.
Appreciate it.
And then Superfly says again, he's got a lot of experience, Beckham, in building brands, and his playing experience is a bonus. And then Shahsab says, I agree with Sam. We should hire the best of the best in each position. So slightly different perspectives there. I suppose if it is, like you say, just a brand ambassador or whatever it is, then it's not going to have too much effect, is it? It's not like he's day-to-day running of the club and things like that, because that's where you need where your professionals should be. There's a couple more quotes I want to dive into. He said, at the moment, there's no stability at Manchester United. I want an ownership to take over and take United back to where they should be. And then further went on to add that I know who should take over. I have a strong opinion on that. It seems to be very vocal at the minute, whereas other players haven't been as vocal, bar Gary Neville, I'd probably say. Why do you think that is, Sam?
I think they know where the bread is buttered, don't they? Like Wayne Rooney, we've seen praise the Glazers, didn't we? Quite recently, he was talking about how good they were. I'm sure there was another player. Is there somebody else who was praising them as well?
There was definitely was someone saying
they've invested in the club or they've put money in something.
Yeah,
the normal shit that they sort of like try out. So I think a lot of players who don't have anything sort of outside independently, like sort of business wise, like Gary Neville's set for life. He's got hotels, he's got restaurants, he's got his punditry job and stuff like that. He's set, like he don't need shit. So he can criticize all he wants and it's not really going to affect him because under the Glazers they were never going to invite him to do an ambassadorial role or any of that sort of stuff. Not that he needs to anyway. So that's kind of that. And then other players, they think maybe I have to end up back there. Maybe I can get a coaching job. Maybe I can get the manager's job, something like that. So they don't want to be too critical just in case they have to sort of walk back through that door. So maybe that's to do with it. I'm not sure. Beckham is obviously on the other side of that. He's being paid by Qatar as a Qatari ambassador. Like he's the reason he was promoting the World Cup. I've got a lot of issues with the way he promoted it and the things he said like since, but that's a political / outselling issue, and he's not the only one, and he's not the only United person to do it either. Gary Neville's done it as well, so it is what it is. So I think it's a tricky situation. But like, just if Sheikh Jassim, say he is new owner, if he wants to hit the ground running, all he has to do is come in and go, right, I'm keeping Ten Hag because that'll make the fans happy. All the debt's gone, so that's great. I'm investing however many billion into the stadium, either building a new one or redoing up Old Trafford. Brand new training ground, brand new women's facilities, and then I'm going to hire Paul Mitchell or the likes of Paul Mitchell, people like that. I'm going to hire the best in recruitment. I'm going to hire the best medical people. I'm going to fire John Murtaugh and Richard Arnold and kick them out the fucking door.
The first protocol.
And then, surround yourself with ex-legends. So get Cantona involved, get Beckham involved. Do you know what I mean? Get them and be like, get them for promoting your press and promoting your brand and promoting how good you are. It's easy marketing 101, innit? It's easy.
I don't mind them being involved. Like we said, as long as it's not in the recruitment process and in things like that. Because what's the point of just putting him? It's like putting Bruno on the wing, like just putting him in there just for the sake of it. It just doesn't make sense to me.
But you could have him in like great, like a lot of like clubs do like sort of fan interaction stuff with like legends and stuff like that. United don't do enough of that. I think they need to do more of that.
You're absolutely spot on with that, because I think there's so much untapped potential that you could do with Manchester United. The size of our club, the awareness, like you could do so many things with it, and in return get a big profit on that as well. If you're just trying to look at it from a business perspective. You mentioned David Beckham and Qatar there, Sam. He speaks about his relationship with them. He said, "I've had a long-standing relationship with Qatar. It's obviously been a connection since I was at PSG. So far, there've been no discussions about it. I have a long-standing relationship. Blah blah blah. People are going to make the connection between the two and are obviously going to talk about that, but there hasn't been a discussion yet." And one of the questions I was going to ask is, what is your stance on Qatar? Do you still feel as strongly about it? And I don't know if you want to dive into the Beckham thing like you mentioned before, but just talk to us a little bit about
that. It's not a Qatari thing for me. It's just I don't want a state ownership. I don't want any country owning our club. And everybody's going to say he's an independent businessman. He's not though, is he? Like his family's in the Saudi royalty and prime minister. He's got connections to Qatari bank, which are ran by his state-owned bank. So it's not an independent businessman. That it's not like this is state-owned for all intents and purposes. This was like with the Saudi investment, the PIF or I think it's PIF.
Oh, but QIA you on about?
No, the Saudi one for Newcastle.
Oh, the Saudi one. Oh,
PIF, whatever it's called. So they were like, it's not Saudi thing. It was all it is. It's an investment fund ran by the Saudi prince and the Saudi royal family. So it is. I know they've stuck that Rebecca Stavely at the front of it and all that sort of stuff. But, you know what I mean? Appearances can be deceiving. So it's going to be state owned. So that's what I'm against. It's not a Qatari thing. It's not a Middle Eastern thing. I don't want the British government owning United. I don't want an American government owning Manchester United. I don't want the French government owning. I don't want a state owning our club, because then you just become a sports washing enterprise for that country. Like, can you imagine? I know there's the political situation going on in Israel right now. Can you imagine the Israeli state bought Manchester United and what will just happen then. Like,
it's a minefield in it in that regard. I think people, just pure football fans, will be looking at it, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong. They're just looking at the situation that's going on at Newcastle, for example. Just beat PSG in the Champions League 4-1 with homegrown players in the squad after the turmoil that they faced with Mike Ashley there. Like, they obviously don't give a shit. They're like, buzzing, the football team's winning. So I would imagine, I mean, I don't want to judge most of the morality of people, but I would imagine most fans would probably, not saying that makes it right, but would probably be happy if it happened. And then that's the case of, well, if you don't have Qatar, do you go with the gym then?
You can't.
Or do you stick with the Glazers? Because there's three options ultimately, isn't there?
If you, like, you got to look at it like from different perspectives. Morality wise, there is no good option here. Like, there isn't, because Sir Jim's, the greenwashing that he's done with Ineos, the chemicals company, sports washing with Qatar, and then the Glazers. I imagine they're not squeaky clean by any stretch of it because they're rich. So I assume they've got skeletons in their closet. And not only that, they've damaged Manchester United beyond belief. So I think most people just want to get rid of them based on that basis anyway. So there's no winner there. Like, there's no thing. But if you want to compete and you want to be at the top, state ownership. It's the only way. It's literally the only way. City, Newcastle, PSG to a lesser extent, but that's probably not how to run a club. They've done it terribly wrong.
They're owned by Qatar as well, so it's not. That's another thing as well, where it's not always the case just because money comes in, you're going to be successful. I mean, QPR, I remember at one point, had a huge injection of cash. They got relegated to...
City fucked it up in the beginning as well. They were buying Rubinho and Lescott and all these different people, and they cocked it. What was that guy, Joe, whatever his name was? Like, just these random players and spending a shit ton of money. And then as soon as they brought in that Tiki Bergstein, it all changed, didn't it? They were like, no, we're focused on the right players at the right time. De Bruyne, Vincent Kompany, David Silva, etc. Like Aguero. Like, then that's when things changed. And then the cherry on the top of the cake was Pep Guardiola, and that was it. They're away to the races then, aren't they? They're just absolutely smashing it. And Newcastle are doing the same thing. I don't think Eddie Howe is going to be the manager that brings them a top trophy. I think he's the Mark Hughes, the Pellegrini, the Mancini guy in the beginning who gets them on the road towards the thing, and then when they want to win a top title, they're going to have to bring somebody in who's top level to get them over that line, because it's tough to win a title and it's tough to win a Champions League. So I think that's where the difference is. So yeah, I think there's no winners here. The fans can win in certain ways, but there's no winners in terms of nobody's going to be 100% happy no matter what happens. Everybody's going to have issues, and that's the way it is, sadly. That's
for the fan base to kind of discuss, innit? You probably do. Vincent McMahon, you're fired on a little video will be uploaded to YouTube. Well, for John Murter and thinking that you're fired.
Yeah.
Noah Theodros says we need to change the owners, recruitment boards, players, manager, rebuilding training facility, upgrade the stadium, younger training facility, and also the women's stadium training facility ASAP. So everything then.
I agree. I agree with everything except the manager there, but everything else spot on.
You have to keep Ten Hag. Look, we don't need to dive into the Ten Hag rabbit hole because we've spoken about it so much. There is one more big quote that I purposely saved until last because I thought it was interesting. And this is from David Beckham. He said, I think there will be a takeover on Manchester United. I think it's the right time. I think we all have our own opinion on who should take over the club. But for me, he is the one who cares about the club the most and who will get it back to where it should be. Seems pretty positive about it happening. Would this increase your confidence at all, or is it a case of, well, that's his opinion, I don't give a shit?
Well, he's being paid by Qatar, so of course he's going to be positive, isn't he? He's going to be.
He's not with all these NDAs and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit.
It's a PR exercise. Like they're obviously Qatar not allowed to say anything about the deal or about what's going on, because obviously, like you said, they're on the NDAs. But doesn't mean David Beckham can't talk positively about Qatar and push them and put their media attention. Because I know there's been some scrutiny from like certain media institutions and journalists in the UK, rightly so in many points, and in other things not so much. Other things are like just sort of Sir Jim Radcliffe PR, aren't they? So it's what it is, bit of both, really. So they can allow him to go out there and talk positively about Qatar and talk positively about how they'd be great owners and stuff like that without breaking that NDA, without sort of touching on any of those details. He probably knows more than he's letting on, but obviously he's not allowed
I
to
think
talk
so.
about that. So,
Yeah.
but he is a Qatari ambassador. He's paid by the Qatar to be an ambassador for them for tourism, obviously for the World Cup and stuff like that. So I wouldn't read too much into his comments being truthful or his comments being of merit because he's paid to be that person. But does he know more than he's letting on? Probably. Definitely.
Right, well, we've literally just had breaking news whilst we're live right now. And it's about Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
Here
and
we
it's
go.
Bloomberg as well. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe is leading the race to buy into Manchester United. The British billionaire's recently revised offer is giving him the edge over a rival proposal from Qatar. He emerges as the favourite to take over Manchester United. Discussions with the Glazer family and their advisors are ongoing about the structure of a deal. That's from Bloomberg. Bloomberg financial reports. When you hear breaking stories like this, it's not going to be Romano, it's not going to be Ornstein, any of these guys. It's going to be Bloomberg, it's going to be Reuters and this type of thing. So it's pretty fucking incredible. You can bang that for your book, whatever the saying is. What are your thoughts on that? Just instant reaction. Talk about Qatar so much, and how it's interesting. Beckham's what he's saying there, and it's like you get this kind of. It just explains the takeover in general, doesn't it?
It seems like it's heating up again. There was that moment, wasn't they, towards the end of the season where they were going back and forth, where Qatari PR was getting put out, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and then people were saying on both sides, "Oh, Sir Jim has won it, and it's going to happen," and then other people come out saying, "No, he hasn't," and then people were going to get. Was it Reuters that had that story saying Qatar? And then people came out against it, saying it was not true and stuff like that. So I don't know what to believe anymore. Like I'm kind of like.
Well, just let me read. Sorry, we've got another thing coming out now. Just in, Qatari consortium could still raise their bid for Manchester United. So you see the way it's going in it. Like, you can see. So this is basically the chess game that they've been playing all along, and they've probably got right. So we're at a standstill now because Ratcliffe's initial bid, there was issues with other stakeholders at the club. Qatar haven't offered enough, so we're just going to wait and see what happens, basically. So Jim Ratcliffe works behind the background. Qatar, kind of stating Jim Ratcliffe comes up with this new bid now, and he's like, "Oh, actually, I found a loophole. We can do this. You guys can stay on, and then 3-4 years time, I'll eventually buy the club." The Glazers are happy because they get an injection of cash, and they get to keep hold of the club effectively.
Yeah.
They're also happy because when this happens, Qatar then go, "Right, we're gonna have to bid more." It's as simple as that. If we don't, then they're gonna give it him. So again, the Glazers are in a winning position, aren't they?
Well, that's all they want, isn't it? They want this. This is exactly what they want. They want them both scrambling to offer them the best deal, and then who knows? Like Bloomberg is very reputable, Reuters very reputable, but again, is this another ploy for the Glazers? Is this another ploy of
something?
Like it might be legitimacy to it in terms of because it says discussions with Glazer family advisors are ongoing about the structure of the deal, so that's probably legit. There's probably some legitimacy of them saying, "Oh yeah, this is an interesting offer. We get this, blah blah blah," and then they've probably gone, "Tell Bloomberg this because we are doing it. It's not a lie. We are doing this. Tell them that." They put it out. Yeah. Qatari see it and go, "Right, we like you said, we're gonna have to maybe up the bid," and then either way, so even if Qatar doesn't up the bid, they've still got this deal because they can restructure and stuff like that. But then Qatar does up the bid, they win again, so they win both ways. This is Glazers 101, isn't it? Just whatever it takes to get the money, that's what they're doing.
The Rain Group have been employed specifically to get a price, and whichever means they go about getting that price, they've done their job. So they don't care about United fans. They don't care about whatever's going on in the outside world. They're there to do a specific job. And if they have to play Sir Jim Ratcliffe against Qatar specifically to get that price, they're obviously going to do it. And it seems like it's working because this will force... I'm telling you now, if it actually confirms, it's like, right, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is basically they're about ready to go. Qatar be like, right, we can't fucking lose this. We cannot lose this. Put 5.5 in, get the deal done, And then it's not like we've just upped it for no reason, then we've upped it because obviously it seemed like it was close. Muppeteers just put a tweet out saying, as per what I've been saying for a few weeks, Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe have been in very active discussions with Rain and the Glazers, including over this last weekend with direct talks. As far as I know, they hadn't reached agreement, and the long-term nature of the 25% offer is still up in the air in terms of what happens after the initial investment and how control would work in the interim. I imagine there are a few scenarios now on the table that will be discussed and then feedback brought to Ineos and to Jim Ratcliffe. So, constant, ongoing developments with this story.
I've just seen another one there. Glazer family considers Jim Ratcliffe offer for a minority stake more attractive than Qatari offer for the entire club. The board is expected to discuss the proposal at a meeting in the coming days. So
there's definitely things going on behind the scenes, because we've heard a lot of noise about Qatar now, and so many people being positive about Qatar and putting it out there. So I don't know if I don't know what's going on. I don't know if people started leaking things or whatever it is. But obviously, when Bloomberg are reporting it, I tend to take their word over what fucking Beckham says or anybody else. So again, the race goes like this. So Jim, back in the race. Let's see how kind of Qatar react to that. I mean, I think Amazon have really missed a fucking trick not getting an all or nothing this year, because oh my god, the amount of money,
insanity.
The amount of money they would have made would have been ridiculous to see all this. Well, I don't think you would have seen much about the takeover, but even still, with United in general. So, yeah, look, I mentioned before, I know there's quite a few of you joining, and we was talking predominantly about Beckham and Qatar, and just as we were speaking about that, news comes out from Bloomberg that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is in the lead, basically, and the Glazers prefer his new revised offer. Will Qatar go back in? That's something we'll obviously go live for if it does happen. If they put in another bid, it seems like it's certainly heading that way. But just to let you guys know as well, we're going to be live again at 7:15 with the North versus South All-Stars. So it's 2 lads versus 2 lads. We're going to generate a team each, formations, managers, captains, etc. We get 1 pick from each club in the north, 1 pick from each club in the south, whoever picks whatever, and then we're going to put a team against each other, and then you guys can decide which team is the best. Todd Bowley had an idea, basically. So a bit of an American thing, but I thought it'd be interesting to do that. So make sure you do join me, Aaron, Adam, and Sam for that, and we'll see you guys in the next one. I mean, we might even go live before that fucking video at this rate, the way the updates are happening. So yeah, thank you to everyone watching. Leave a like on the video for us, subscribe to the channel, drop us a follow on social so you do not miss a thing when we go live, and like I said, we'll see you very, very shortly. Take care. See you in a bit.
Peace.